Hey everybody, it's the Raw Traveler again for another video. Today's video is about car rentals. Now, for those of you who still use a car and decide that you need one when you travel. Now, of course, if you're traveling to some places, like if you're going to spend a lot of time in a pretty big city, for example, New York City or Los Angeles, and you're going to spend a lot of time in the downtown areas, you probably don't need a car. There's a lot of, even here in Los Angeles, there's subways. A lot of people didn't know that. Los Angeles has a really good subway system. There's a good subway system. They got the red line, the blue line, the purple line. They've got the Expo line. They're building a new line that's going to go all the way down to Santa Monica. And on top of that, they've got a lot of buses. There's a really good network of buses here in Los Angeles. And I've been able to get around almost to anywhere I need to by subway and bus here. Now, I don't know what your requirements are. Some people cannot live without a car, but if you're going to another city like Bangkok, don't rent a car in Bangkok. Bangkok is a nightmare to drive in. It's one city that I vowed to never drive in again. If you hate the traffic in LA or New York or any other city in the United States, Bangkok traffic is 1,000 times worse. On top of that, it's all smog because they don't smog the cars there. They don't smog the motorcycles there. There's motorcycles and motorbikes coming from every single direction. They drive on the other side of the road. Well, of course, if you're from Australia or the UK, they drive on the same side of the road. But if you're from the United States or Canada or somewhere else that drives on the other side of the road, they drive on the other side of the road. So if you rent a car, you got to learn how to adapt to that. And besides that, you got to learn how to adapt to the way the people drive there. And then the signs, of course, the most important signs are in English and Thai, but there's a lot of signs that are only in Thai. And if you don't read Thai, then you might miss your stop. You might miss your exit. So unless you're really comfortable and you're really familiar with Bangkok and the way things work there, I don't think you should drive there. But of course, it's up to you if you want to do that or not. But so this video is about car rentals, and if you really have to have a car rental at your destination, the way I suggest you rent cars is by going to some of these websites like Orbitz, Travelocity, or Expedia, and you go onto these sites and they'll show you a list. You type in the city you're going to, and you click on the cars, and then you type in the dates you need the car from. The way you should always do it is, for example, if you're staying in a city for 5 days, and let's say you're arriving on Monday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you're leaving on Friday at 7 o'clock in the morning, well, you got to give yourself about a half an hour to an hour after you arrive in the airport to pick up the car. So for example, if you're arriving at 10 o'clock, you would try to start your rental about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. They do hold your reservation for a few hours, and some companies hold it for 24 hours, but some of the smaller companies will only hold your reservation for 3 hours. So if you set your pick up the car time for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour after you arrive, you should be fine in most situations. Of course, if there's a flight delay or some other unexpected mishap, you might need to contact the car rental company and tell them you're going to be late, because they will give up your reservation at some of the companies after just about 3 hours. So that's something you got to keep in mind when you book a car. Another thing about car renting is for example, if you're going to stay 5 days, so you arrive 10 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. So you book, let's just say you would book it for 11 o'clock in the morning on that same Monday, and you would need it for 5 days. So that's assuming you leave, okay, you're going to leave Saturday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And let's assume that your flight is leaving around 7 o'clock in the morning Saturday. Well, the way most of these sites work is you go by a 24-hour clock. So it'll cost you the same amount of money to rent a car for 1 hour as it costs to rent it for 24 hours. So you should just calculate how many 24-hour periods you will have the car. So in other words, you know you're leaving on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, but you click Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning at 11 o'clock because you started on a Monday at 11 o'clock. So you should always end 24 hours after the start. That's the easiest way to do it. That way you can always bring the car back early. You won't get charged more. If anything, they'll even charge you less, or they'll charge you what the original price was up until the time that you booked it for. So in other words, if you were arriving at 11 o'clock, you're picking up the car at 11 o'clock on a Monday, you're leaving, your flight out of that city is at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, you would still book till 11 o'clock on that Saturday. So the car company, the car rental company would have that car available to you till that time, and it won't cost you any more money. In fact, some of the car rental companies will charge you the same amount of money for 5 days as they do for 7 days. So you can look out for that too. It actually might be in your favor to spend an extra day or two at your destination if you're not paying much for the hotel, if you're getting a free night at the hotel, or if you're sleeping at a friend's place or something, or you own a house in that place, then it might pay you to just stay an extra day or two, because the car rentals, for some of the car rental companies, 5 days is equal to 7 days. In other words, you don't have to pay any extra for the extra 2 days. So I would, before you book it, I would check that out, and then you might want to add an extra day or two to your travel. Just for, why not, get a free car rent, a car for the extra 2 days. So those are some suggestions for car rentals. Another suggestion is go onto these sites like I was talking about, Orbitz, Expedia, Travelocity. There's a host of other ones, Priceline, for example, and do the comparison for the car. Put in the date and a time that you're arriving, which would be about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes 60 minutes from the time your flight is supposed to arrive in that city, and then go by the number of days, and then your ending time should be the day you leave, but the same time that you picked it up. So do the search in Travelocity, in Expedia, in Orbitz, and then they should list the different rates for all the different car rental agencies. Now be careful, because they sometimes will list the rates before taxes, and then they'll have another rate with the taxes. The rate you're going to pay is the rate with the taxes, which is usually quite a bit higher than the rate without the taxes. Taxes are a lot higher for car rentals than they are for almost anything else in travel. Hotel tax rates are pretty high, but car rentals, I think, are even higher. So you can then book your car reservation, whether it be on Orbitz or Travelocity or Expedia, and it doesn't cost you anything. They might ask you for a credit card, but they don't charge your credit card, and you can actually just not show. You can be a no-show, and they won't charge you anything. Now, if you do that all the time, if you're always a no-show through Orbitz or through Travelocity, through Expedia, they might eventually get tired of you doing that all the time, and you might be blacklisted by them on some types of things. And so I don't suggest doing that all the time. But if there's a situation where you forgot to cancel the reservation, and you couldn't show up, you didn't you forgot you even made that reservation for a car rental, and you don't show up, you don't have to worry. The car rental company expects a certain number of people don't show up, and your credit card won't get charged. It won't cost you anything. So that's a great advantage about car rentals, is that they don't charge you anything. A hotel is very different. If you book a hotel night and you don't show up, your credit card is going to get charged for that night, and it's going to be considered a no-show. And if you're a really good customer of that hotel chain, you might be able to get out of it, and you might be able to get a credit for a free night if you have a really good excuse. But it's going to be a hard fight for you. But for a car rental, you don't have to worry. You're never going to get your credit card charged if you don't show up. So that's a great advantage of car rentals. You can actually book several car rentals at the same time and don't even cancel them. Just go to the one that you really want on the day. But I don't suggest people do that. That's not really a courteous way of dealing with companies. And just find the cheapest one and book that one. So what you could do is you can book one, and as soon as you know that you're going to be traveling, you pick whichever one you want. But I usually pick the least expensive car rental, because I don't have too many people to take with me. Occasionally I'll be with one person, maybe two. A small car, I don't travel with much luggage. A small car is all I need. I usually pick the least expensive car on the list. And also, the less expensive car is going to use less fuel. It's usually a much more fuel efficient car. So that way you'll save a little bit more money. So what you do is you have this reservation on hold, whether you should create an account with Expedia, or you create an account with Orbitz, or you create an account with Priceline, or you create an account with Travelocity. And then what you do is you log into your account, you save the trip with the car rental in your account, and they will usually also send you an email with a confirmation that your car rental has been booked. Now what you can do is, or what I highly suggest everybody do, is every chance you get, like the next day, every 24 hours, these car rental prices are repriced, because there's competition. There's 5 or 6 different car rental companies. There's Budget and Hertz and Avis and Thrifty and Dollar and all the different brands. And there is some competition, and they do move their prices. And if one of the companies moves their price higher, sometimes the other ones will move them higher. And if 1 or 2 companies move their prices lower, sometimes the other ones will move their prices lower too. And these prices fluctuate. So almost every 24 hours, you might see a change in their prices. So what I suggest people do is, every chance you get, don't necessarily have to do it every 24 hours, but the next day, if you happen to be online and you have some time on your hands, go to that same site that you booked your car rental. For example, I usually use Orbitz, but if you booked it in Expedia or Travelocity, you just go to that site again and just check the price for that exact same rental that you had booked before, and see if it comes out higher or lower. See if the rental from, for example, you wanted to do one from Monday to Saturday, from 11 a.m. on Monday to 11 a.m. on Saturday for those 5 days, and you just key in the same parameters, the same city, the same times, the same dates, and you check the prices again, and you might see that the prices have come down. They might come down. Like I just did this the other day on Orbitz, and I had originally booked a car for just 3 days, and it was $150. So I booked it, and then I checked it a few days ago, about a week ago, the exact same booking in the same city, and I saw the price had come down to $100, a little over $100, like $106 or $107. So I canceled the $150 rate. It's exactly the same car. I think it's a different company. but it's the same car, the same dates, in the same city, and the price is $50 less. So of course I canceled the $150 one and I booked a new reservation for $100. Then today I happened to be online again and I was just curious, is there any change in it? Like if the change is higher, if the price went from $150 to $200, I wouldn't touch it. Of course, I would leave my reservation at $150. But the price actually came down, so I canceled my old reservation, booked a new one, and now I have it booked at $100. Well, then yesterday or today, I looked again, and the price was down again. It was down to I think it was down to $83. So it came down again. So of course, I did exactly the same thing. I canceled the $106 reservation, and I booked a new one at $83. And then I'll do the same thing again tomorrow. Maybe it'll be higher than 83, then in which case I'll just leave it. If it's lower than 83, even if it's $10 lower, I will just cancel the $83 one and book it at a lower price. So that's a little trick that everybody who travels and rents a car should be doing. It saves you money. It gets you the best deal. You don't really have to spend a lot of time doing it. Every time you're on a computer and you have a few minutes, think about it. Say, oh yeah, I've got a reservation on Travelocity, or I've got a reservation on Priceline, or I've got a reservation for a car on Orbitz. Let's see if the prices have come down a bit. And if they have, then you can just rebook it, cancel the old one, and you're going to save money. You're getting the same car, you're just paying less, taking advantage of the competition that's out there. So that's my suggestion for today for you raw travelers. Hopefully we're all gonna be meeting together at the airport at the budget stand. Well, that's another thing. If you notice that the price is lowest for one particular car rental company, and then when you arrive at the airport, you're gonna notice that there's gonna be the biggest lineups at the particular company that you booked at, because that's the one that's advertising the lowest rate. And you're going to see all the other car rental companies, they're going to have almost nobody lining up there. There are going to be one or two people. It's almost always the case, the one that you book is the most popular. So another good thing to do, sorry to make this video so long, but it's important stuff. Another good thing to do is become a member of the rental car company's frequent renter programs. All the car rental companies have these, and a lot of them will give you like the gold elite status. Even if you don't rent very often, you get a gold elite status, and often you don't even have to go to the counter. You can skip the counter altogether. The car will be ready for you with the keys in it, with your name on it, and you just get in the car and drive off. Or they'll tell you, go to section A, B, or C, and that's where you're going to get your car. You just pick whichever car you like in that section. The keys are already in it. You just drive off, and you don't have to go through the lineups or the counter or anything. So that's another great way to save some time and save some money, and you don't have to wait in line with all those first-time renters or people who don't know their ways and their ins and outs of travel. So hoping to see you on another flight soon. This is the Raw Traveler. Bye.